BX has got the facts for you. BX the storyteller, bringing the spark, no one does it better. BX, you've heard the rest, but she's the best, yeah, she's the best. From ancient tales to modern schemes, unraveling truths and chasing dreams. With every word she lights the scene. BX's voice where it all gleams. BX the storyteller, bringing the spark, no one does it better. BX, you've heard the rest, but she's the best, yeah, she's the best.
Hi, David. Good morning. Rich Rising. Thank you for the gift. I figured I'd talk about the role of the church in early New York. So, if you don't know the theme of my lives, especially for Black History Month, I'm trying to destroy the narrative of Tetherville, as they had, some will call New York now, right? So I'm just showing that, unlike what Ma'am Danny said, immigrants did not build this country. So I'm showing the role that our ancestors had here in New York through all different periods. I don't really have a chronological time frame. I've done the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s. Oh, him and Ilian, oh, what's her name? Omar? Ilian Ohan. They had a yelling match. Talib joined in, but Trump did his thing. I didn't watch it either. The only thing I saw was the highlight, and he was saying to end all sanctuary cities because they do not allow or they prohibit or interfere with ICE going in to get the criminals, right? And they had that's my washing machine, sorry. They had a back and forth with that. You couldn't really hear what she was saying, but you could hear what Trump was saying. You probably can find highlights of the State of the Union. That's the only thing that caught my attention, the back and forth with him and the Dems. Yeah, that's what Trump was saying. They should end sanctuary cities. Thank you for the likes. So the theme of my lives for February History Month, National Black History Month, is just showing the role that our ancestors had here in New York throughout the time frame. Yep. So I see your lives. They be jumping. I be on the go. Good morning, love one, Nika. How are you? Where you coming from? Good morning, David.
Hey, hey, what's up? Great Rising. How you doing, BX?
I'm fine. Grand Rising, Grand Rising. I see your
Okay, you.
live is doing well. Sometimes I come in and peek in. Oh,
Nah, I
yeah.
appreciate it. I'll be over there kicking ass. You know what I'm saying? But when you start going live and stuff like again, I know you went live, but then you stopped. I think.
Yeah, I kept going down, and then it was like a low turnout because I do like an echo chamber. So I do mod for a lot of pages, but we still need time and a space where we could decompress without all the others, peeking in and giving their insight. I'm kind of tired. I'm starting to get like tension headaches. And I realize it's the tethers that give them to me because I'll be
That's
fine
right.
when it's just us. And then they come on. And I mean, how many times we got to hear our ancestors came and changed? They ain't do nothing. We ain't do nothing. Or we talking too much about them. We ain't building nothing. We don't own nothing. And it's like I only stay in FBA safe spaces, or even if they identify as Black American safe spaces, right? Meaning they will talk to the others, but they don't let them take the center stage, right? We don't have no repeat offenders just thinking they comfortable in our room. But conveniently, even if the prompt has nothing to do with them, here they'll come, just having a and provide their insight. I'm tired of them.
Yeah, yeah. I agree 100%. I stopped. Listen, they'll try to come in and like you just said, like I get headaches too. It's crazy because you know what? They draining our energy because they that time is over with. You know what I mean? They got crazy hit. They got like a made up history. It's strange, but it's like I, I don't deal with them either myself. You know what I mean? Like if I have an open topic, then whatever. But they just like real strange people. You know what I mean? So I don't deal with it at all. I don't deal with it at all. They drain your energy, and like you just said, if you having headaches, I didn't have headaches. I didn't got off lives and just was tired. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I'm like, man, what is this? And it's them. It's them.
I,
You
I
know?
believe so too. And it's you know who okay, the West Africans and then the Haitians, Latinos too. But right now the Haitians are getting on my nerves
Yeah.
with their revisionist history, David. We needed them to emancipate us from what they tell us, right?
From what
We
they
know
say.
that's BS.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't do it. I don't do it. I do not do it. I'll be over there just really I'll be focusing on really Europeans, you know what I mean? But it's like I noticed that though. And I'm glad you said that because that's what they do. It's like they got their own uh, witchcraft and all that type of stuff, and they be using it. Cause I'm be like, man, I'm tired, and it was just strange, and I'm like, man, I'm not doing this no more. I'm not even making no prompts about these people because I had did one with the Somalis, did one with the with the Bad Bunny, and it's just like these people are competing. That's their thing, is just to compete against us. So I'm like, nah, they out of all that money they done stole, you're thinking they'd be, supporting your goal or whatever. But man, these people are just they pitiful. They
Yeah,
are pitiful.
and with the Bad Bunny topic, I've never seen so many Latinos in our rooms. Hi, Chris. Please do your daily heart meet. Your badge is gray. Um, but they were bringing lives down.
Really?
Yes, Afro Elite's live went down.
Mm.
He was so upset. And then I don't know if you know Misbehavior. He's had his platform for a few months now, and he decided to talk about it, and his life went down. And I think somebody else's life went down too. And
Dang.
then just because we said, when we talk about rap and rappers, we'll say a rapper is trash, or the performance was trash, or his freestyle skills is trash. They were so offended when we said Bad Bunny's performance was trash. They said, "Oh, y'all are speaking HATE. Y'all just don't like us."
Mm.
Thank you for the daily heart me, Chris. Yeah, it was
Yeah, I'm
really
not.
ridiculous.
Yeah, they got that. They all got the same thing. Like they say the same thing that the Europeans say. Like they all say that because it's a trick bag. They don't want us. They try to put the H label on us. You know what I'm saying? The HAT label on us, but that ain't us. But what it is something that they try to bully us with. You know what I mean? To keep us from talking about it, and it don't work. But I noticed that they all say that. I'm talking about the Asians, all right, the white, the white Asians, the white Latino, the Europeans. They all say the same thing. The
You deal
Africans, all of them.
with the white T Asians on your platform? Do they visit your platform?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I had a thing about
Good
why they
morning,
got
going once.
they got the hate. Why did that bill go through? The Asian hate bill.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And what was the reason? My reason I just put because they white. So a lot of people came up there. They came through there, um, basically saying this, that, and the other, saying the same thing as the white Latinos. You know what I mean? Like all of them, they all saying the same thing that we, you know, it's HATE that we doing. They all say it's a bullying tactic though to keep us from talking about them because they into so many criminal things. They don't want people to put the light on them. All of them, all of them, from the Africans. I have Africans over there. Just the whole group. I'm on a world tour. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So all of them come over there, and it's just like. But I'm noticing they all say the same thing. BX. They all say the
Wow.
same thing.
Um, You know what I also think is my belief that we haven't told them no in such a manner. Like anytime any of them have done or said anything or were, we coddled them basically. We ain't go at them as hard as now, right? And now we're telling them no, you have to own your, your shit. You gotta handle this by yourself. We're busy. We have never told the diasporans no in such a manner, and the mother folks too, that they are losing their minds.
Yeah, they are. They losing their minds. You you know why? You know this whole immigration thing, and I had to go back and just do research. But it's the immigration thing. You know, despite what people may say, the number one thing that's prolonging racism in this country is the immigrants. Is immigration. That's why everybody is hollering. I mean, everybody hollering. Everybody, this whole nation's hollering because. So I went back and I seen every time that they had an influx of immigrants here, there was riots between them and us every time.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. So I just kept, going through the history, all over this country, all parts. It was riots. It was deadly riots. It was lynching. I mean, I don't know if I can say that on your platform, but it was just violence. So that's what, and talking to people over there, they help me come into this conclusion. And the conclusion is that's the number one thing that's prolonging racism because they come over here and they side with white people.
Now, let me ask you a question just for clarity. You said prolonging, but do you mean I think that there will always be racism. You saw there's police brutality. Mainly they are white tea or white tea Hispanic, right? Then in New York, there was the professor who said some disparaging things about black people, not knowing she had a hot mic, so the class heard it and she's caught out there. So every now and then, white tea people will rear their head. They're just inherently racist, and sometimes it comes to the front. And this happened in New York, right? So, and then we see what happened with the Tourette's thing. Some are saying, he has Tourette's. And some are saying, I just don't believe that. Whoever he's around, that's part of his tick, meaning they put it in his lexicon. And I'm like, well, do black people with Tourette's go around and say cracker? Like, do they just yell out cracker? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Do you think that they help white tea supremacy, or do you mean that it would end or lessen if they just wasn't in the country?
When they come over here, I had to shoot you. I shoot it to you in my in your DM. But every
Okay.
time it's a pattern. Okay. See, historically, we've been really putting out racism. If you look at after the Civil War, but there's been other times where we just did so well and we minimized it. But what happened when we minimized it, they came with an influx of immigrants. And what happens when you get immigrants over here, because we only have a finite amount of resources, you have to make way. That's one of the reasons why New York and California is one of the most expensive places in the world, you know what I mean? Because the immigrants. So what it does, it put pressure on the people that's already there, mainly us. And throughout history, throughout America, this history of this country, every time it had an influx, it broke out in violence. It's been tensions every time. So what I am saying is that, you know, white people, they don't have the strength to oppose us like that. That's why they created that term white. All right. So they got all these groups though that hides under that term white. And one of the groups is the white Latinos and the Asians that are white. They help promote and keep this thing going. Cause you notice every time they come over, look at what's going on in California. We beefing with them over in California. The white Latino, okay? The Asians, Latasha Harlan, all right? It's been tension every time that they come over, here because they help white folks.
It sounds like
That's-
you're saying they contribute too, right? Because who do you think we just had a strange food victim? Who do you think is doing that?
I would think white
Right.
personally. Yeah, I think white, but they don't have.
So we do kind of. I think you're trying to say that we do put them in submission, where they just be like, we ain't messing with them today. You know, they over there, let them do what they gonna do. But then, like when the Irish came and they attacked us, even in New York, right? And they
Yeah,
attacked us. They were burning down our towns too, right?
yes.
Good morning, Mama Ani. Complete your daily heart meet. Thank you. Enjoy the conversation if you want to. So what I would say is they contribute to the issue, and we always knew the Asians and the Latinos didn't really care for us that much. The Caribbean, like the melanated Caribbean, were a bit different, but I would have never thought that they would have reared their ugly heads, the Africans and the Caribbeans, to be honest. Um, that they're in our government subjugating us, because Yvette Clarke, we're fighting for a delineation bill. And she authored one for her Caribbean people in 2009 and 2010. And it has funding attached to it. But when our U.S. Freedmen activists asked her, for support for a bill and stuff, she remained silent. Oh, okay, Mama Ani, you're just here to listen. Well, have a great day at work. So they get into positions of power, even the melanated immigrants, and they play a strong game of group economics, just like the Mexicans, just like the Latinos. It's like everybody is just subjugating us, and um, it's frustrating, it's exhausting, but I know that we're the greatest comeback kids there are, and we got home court advantage. So to me, I think we need a majority Republican country in order to get the gloom off of it that the Biden and Harris administration has caused with those open borders of theirs.
Yeah, it's they like they most definitely like only thing though, about us, the only thing that happened really our hand came off the wheel of politics was just the DRUG trade. All right. That's the only thing. But literally that was a whole paradigm shift where the world changed, okay? For us to get not pay attention to our politics. But what I was saying, and I'm gonna get off of here, is that is see, I believe, this is my belief, that racism can be ended. Even though it looks like it is, you know, they have to have help to continue to oppose us. They can't oppose. See, it's not no one country like Spain or British that's opposing us. It's literally the whole world. If you look at it, you got the whole world over here in this country, and they all immigrants. Okay, the main ones are the Europeans, but they do get help from the Spanish, and that was because of colonization. But if you notice, if you look and ask those people who are they from, who they are, where they from, when I ask Europeans, you'll find out it's every European nation that's opposing us. You got every that go up under the term white. So it takes that much to oppose us, and they continue to get help to oppose us. Okay, so without that help, that system gets stepped on. We put it in a chokehold and we end it because they're not strong enough. The history is saying it. They're not strong enough to continue that system without help. Because you gotta understand, it was first the British, with the colonies that came over here. All right. And then they continue to recruit other European white nations to the point where they continue to have the group got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to the point now it's every European nation that's over here. Every white nation is over here opposing us, plus the Spanish, plus the Africans, plus the Asians. Okay, that is a testament to our strength. It ain't easy. Okay, so without these groups, okay, without having these, let's just say these groups didn't start to coming here from the 70s or the 60s. All right, you know how far we would have been. Well, they trick bag with our civil rights bill, and while we went up, we took all these groups with us, and that's the problem we having right now. But what I am saying is that you can't end it. You can't end it. Every time, like it takes a lot to oppose us. It takes nations, like Chuck D say, take millions to stop us. It literally is.
Hmm.
It literally is like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot you some research, what I've been seeing about this immigration thing. But if
Okay.
you notice, this is why everybody's hollering, because they have all came against us and
Hmm.
sided with white people.
Yeah.
And without their help, white folks can't, they stand no chance, BX.
Right.
They stand no chance. So I just seen your invite and come up, but they stand no chance and we can
Mhm.
eliminate the system. But I'm not saying immigration is the only thing. I'm saying it's the main thing.
I
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I believe we're saying the same thing, just a little bit differently. One thing we could definitely agree on is immigration, whether legal or illegal, harms the foundational Black American community, correct?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm with you, David, and I look forward to your research. Hmm.
All righty. All right, BX. Have a good one.
Yes, thank you for stopping by and thank you for the gifts and stuff. That was a good conversation. Hi, Mama Ani. I'm gonna stay up just a little while longer. Um, I think you peeked in before. I'm trying to destroy the narrative of Tetherville. New York. Yeah, it was. Mama Ani says it was. Um, New York, where it had this grandeur, this you know big social standing, to me has sort of been knocked down with the height of immigrants and them saying they built New York, or the non-white, non-black American immigrants saying that we get our culture from them and stuff. And a lot of people are sort of questioning um, Black Americans in New York, foundational Black Americans. I hear a lot of stuff, and I'm one with Rich Rising.
Grand Rise, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm on my Bluetooth in my car. I'm like 5 minutes away, but it's just like hearing you talk about this is amazing because living in the Midwest, it's very
Hmm.
segregated. Kansas City is segregated, so we don't really like it's happening, but we don't really deal with it because black people are just with black people for the most part. We are seeing each other trying to like come up, come down, and there's a lot of interfighting within us,
Yeah.
but like what you're saying is so true. So as I said before, I don't know if you know, I went to Spelman like in the early 2000s, and I had a really close friend of mine, my Morehouse brother, who was African from New York.
Okay.
And mind you, I didn't really realize it then, but now that we're having these conversations, when I was there in the AUC, the transition from Black Americans to Caribbeans and Africans really coming in to our HBCU space was happening then. When you talk about teachers, like there were so many teachers who were African and Caribbean and hell, white Latino. Like when I just really think about the teachers who I had at like basically the top HBCU and the just the transition of the culture, I'm like, dang, I didn't see it. And because of also Pan Africanist ideas, like I think in a way I never call myself a Pan Africanist, but I'm like, oh diaspora, we're all black, let's, hey, hey, type of thing. But I say all this to say, so recently my Morehouse brother, after we haven't really talked for a year or two, texts me and says that there's the big elites are trying to place a war between black people of the world, and we need to be vigilant to make sure that this doesn't occur. Mind you, I'm sitting here like, one, we don't talk. Why would you send me this? And two, how do you know this? You supposed to be some, based off your story, like some, coming up African who don't have much, who did all this on his own with his family when no one gave you no opportunities and all this other stuff, And
Mm-hmm.
so just hearing you speak all the time on the different panels, educating me and helping me to educate my people, because it's like it's coming. Like I didn't even know one of my best friends too from Spelman. She's Haitian, and like I'm starting to see a lot within the Haitian community. Um, because of these conversations and really starting to notice how it really affects us as people and seeing these things where before it was like well, at least you're black and you got this position, or at least you're black and you're making this money, at least you're black and you're come up for all of us type of thing. And now it's kind of like oh heck no, like you're actually deterring my people. You're part of the reason why my people are having these intra fights over resources and things like that. Like it's a lot, and I just want to thank you. So I'm coming up to let you know, thank you so much for being such a scholar, being so vigilant for our people, for educating our people and those who try to come up, because I would not have known if I did not listen to y'all. I would just see these people and be like, oh wow, I'm so glad for them, as I'm still trying to pull myself up from narratives that I've taken on that they said about our people, not realizing it's not true. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Those words mean a lot to me because it's frustrating. You don't know if you're really reaching people and stuff. So your kind words are words of encouragement, inspiration for me to keep going.
Yes, please
Yeah.
do. We need you, and we need others like you who are informing, because there's a lot of us in like not, I won't even say small towns, but just not as large cities. Like Kansas City is not like the smallest town, but it's not the biggest city. But we have a lot of Black history and Black influence that's being, it's starting to go through the process of being destroyed, not just through white gentrification, but
Thank
through
you, David.
tethers,
Hmm.
or YT gentrification, but through tethering too. So it's now me being able to try and stand in the vanguard of saying, hey, no, we need to stop this type of thing.
Yeah. I'm so
So,
happy that you're able to keep an eye out on it because even today I be like, where did all them Haitians get in politics? How did they get all these nonprofits? How were they getting funding to have a little Haiti out in Brooklyn? And then you start doing your research with us having the New York reparation hearings. They're giving me more to research, and I'm an Aquarius, so I thought I was a know-it-all. But I think the good thing is that I realize I don't know it all, so I'm open for the education, right? And I'm
mhm.
open to do the research. And I don't look at those like I'm not jealous of those who are historians, those who come and have had the experience. Some people literally don't like the way others shine. They don't understand how to take correction, take information, process it, and then do their research and make the information their own. So when they go on other panels without those who was teaching them something, you know what I'm saying? They flourish.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to give The great historians such as Ishmael, such as Ronnie, such as Professor Alan, such as Simon. We see Simon all the time. I learn from
Yes.
everybody I'm around. I learned from Halo. Halo taught me about ethnogenesis. She just didn't say the right name, right? The technical name. So she said my ancestors ceased being African the moment they were slapped onto them boats. Like Halo just comes up with these great things. So I take a bit of everybody's what it is that they're passionate about, and then I research it on my own, and I pick my passion. Right now is the immigrants in Congress.
Uh-huh. Yes, and you have opened my eyes a lot to that too. So I have always enjoyed politics, and just kind of like in my local elections, I've seen where many Black American men who have been trying to run within Kansas City politics, there's a stifling of those who are actually for the culture compared to those who are more like, as you guys call it, Democratic shields. And so, even with this election coming up, I'm planning on being very vocal for my community to really research those who are put in front of us. Because I know one of the people running specifically for my district was someone who I went to high school with. And I'm gonna just say, him coming into office ain't for the people of his who look like him. So, just really being vigilant to bring forth these points and really start hopefully awakening the people in my city because a lot is changing, and
Mhm.
right now most people are just kind of like, it's just different. It's not the same, and it's like, okay, well, it won't be the same anymore because we missed the first round, but we can definitely hit this second round before it hits like the actual political offices. So,
If you find, because I did interview like three political candidates or very politically astute people, representatives, right? So if
mhm.
you have somebody from your city or town or your district that you feel is good for the lineage, and they're on TikTok or willing to come on TikTok to my room for an interview, I can help amplify their voice. Now, I don't have a big platform, but they'll reach more people there and out of the area too. So that way people can start to know their name and start to throw some support behind them. I'm willing to open my platform for that because I do interviews on my platform as well.
Okay, I will definitely look. I know someone. So Kansas City, we have like 5 districts. So the one running in my district isn't. I don't believe he's going to be good for Black Americans. But there is someone
Okay.
working in another large, heavy district, which is the third in Kansas City, and he's been doing. He's a Black entrepreneur who's opened businesses to give young Black people jobs and who's worked really
Nice.
hard within the community. So I'll try and get in contact with him and see if I can, or I can try and shoot you his link. So I'll look up his information. His name is Chris Good. If you want to start with the research,
Okay, and that's Kansas City?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, let me write that down because, I blog off here like I'm going to research him and then totally get sidetracked. But if it's in my notebook, I should be okay. Thank you,
Perfect.
Mama Ernie.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. You have a
You're
good day, a
welcome.
great day, and enjoy your weekend. We almost there, hump day.
Yes, I can't wait. You have a
Talk to
blessed
you
day as
later.
well.
You
Okay,
too.
no problem. Good morning, Black Love. Thank you, David, for the gifts. I'm just writing down Chris Good's name, and he's from Kansas City. Okay, and then I'm gonna put possible interview. All right. Thank you. I got it all nicely written. So, for those in the room who haven't made it to work yet, my topic is the role of the hey HR of the church in early New York. I'm trying to combat the narrative that New York is Tetherville or that it was built by immigrants. I don't know if we're going to beat the Tetherville because the immigrants up here be doing a lot, but we cannot let our ancestors be erased. We have to remember, and a lot of people have told me, primarily they're from the South, right? And they said there were, I see comments, there was no slavery in the North from our people. I have spoken with one lady who said they just didn't teach them about slavery in the North. And so we did have a form of redlining, Jim Crow, we had enslavement, you know, I've only found like one instance of strange fruiting, but where there's one, there's more. I haven't searched upstate, and we do face a lot of police brutality here or infringement upon our rights. So we had a large abolitionist movement, but we also had kidnapping clubs where after our ancestors' emancipation, the South and other states were primarily still, embarking on slavery. Slavery was ongoing. So ancestors from here who were emancipated or free were actually kidnapped from here and transported to slavery states. And we do have Sister Keisha of Thorough Black Talk Worldview. She has spoken at New York reparations hearings and how her ancestor and her family was impacted by the kidnapping clubs. So, in doing my research, if anybody comes within the next 20 minutes and decides they want to talk about a topic, the topics for today is just black. I'm hearing a lot of people saying, yeah, just black, and it's starting to irk my nerves. We are black. We are exceptional. They have made us the main character, and rightfully so. We have a global power, and as Leo would call it, a soft power that's unmatchable. But people just come, the Haitians, they try to rewrite our history. Um, and a lot of them don't even know their own history. And so I learned a lot of things when people use the same talking point because I say, why they keep saying that? Let me go research. So I want to talk about how others feel about the term just black or you're just black and even some of us, oh, I'm just black. Like, come on, y'all, just black, we're black. And I got to say, I got to hold myself accountable. But I have lately been trying to get it out of my lexicon. I have been catching myself. Also, Trump's State of the Union. Have y'all seen it? He had a back and forth. I didn't watch the whole State of the Union, but he did have an interesting back and forth. They called it a yelling match, which it was, but Trump's voice was more powerful when he said that sanctuary cities need to be ended because they are allowing the safety of vile criminals to remain in those cities and states. So he wants to end sanctuary cities. I'm with him if y'all not going to let him. Yeah, I think they got to go. New York is horrible right about now. Also, a post-racial nation. I remember before Obama got into office, there was a period everybody was saying America was post-racial. Even though we face microaggression from others, and primarily when you think of racism, you think of white tea, like Anglo and the ones, Ellis Islanders, who were able to ascend into white teaism. But when Obama took office, and I'm not saying he's of the lineage, he did write off of the ultimate ticket that he was Black American. And at one point in time, during that time, we were operating under flat blackness. So the racism that came out, even internationally, I saw President Obama address like a bunch of white tea officials, I'm gonna say, and he went to shake their hand, and one just looked at him, looked at his hand, and just looked at him. Like, y'all should see my face right now. And it's like, wow. Like, him getting into office pulled the Band-Aid off of what we were saying was fixed, was cured, or was in the process of being cured. Um, so those are my topics. What I'm going to do is read from an AI overview of the role of the church in early New York and see if anybody else comes in and wants to join the panel. If not, I'll shut it down. And I thank everybody who came through. Chris, David Kitchen, Mama Ani, Black Love came in the room, and I waved at her. And I see HR too. And I'm not the only one in the room because I see on the counter I have two. Oh, Miss Jonesy is here too. So if nobody wants to join, I'm going to just read the role of the church in early New York, and I'll probably repeat the topic maybe later on today or even tomorrow because I plan on getting some rest, and I'm supposed to be trying to stop exhaustion and burnout. Because going back and forth on the panels, I'm going to be respectful today. Going back and forth with the tethers, I realize they give me a headache. They literally give me a headache. And I only stay in FBA safe spaces, or, those who don't like to label bang, as we call it. So they are Black American, or they identify as just Black American. And the immigrants always find their way in there. Oh, I see what I did here. Always find their way in our rooms, right? And then they come up on the panel with revisionist history or just these really horrible, vile things to say about us and the ancestors. And I think it's taking a toll. David even agreed he gets headaches. Somebody mentioned energy harvesting, and they don't care if they even get bad energy from us, or us going at them, crashing out on them. They just need it. They return. I don't return to rooms like that. I got all the big trolls blocked. But somehow, everybody knows my name. They come in our safe spaces like BX, and I'll be like, oh my God. But I'm going to get right to it. So the first congregation of the independent Black church movement in New York was established in 1796. It grew out of a desire for autonomy and a space free from the restrictions and discrimination found in predominantly white denominations. That's the word. Our key word is autonomy. We are demanding ethnic autonomy. That's what delineation is, wanting to be properly identified and properly counted so that we could get the proper resources and repair for us, not the other folks who I argue have already gotten a form of reparation from our government because of the things that their representatives who have their background has secured for them. One name is Yvette Clarke, and when I finish with Yvette Clarke, then I'm going to go to AOC because she's another one, and both are from New York. And then the resource goes on to say the foundation of the first Black church in New York. The movement began when Black members of the Methodist Episcopal Church in New York City decided to meet separately. They eventually built their own structure, which was dedicated in 1800. Instrumental clergy, Abraham Thompson, he's on the prompt there. Abraham Thompson, a local preacher and one of the primary leaders who spearheaded the separation to ensure Black congregants had their own place of worship and leadership. James Varick, he's to the left of Abraham Thompson on the prompt there. James Varick, widely considered the founding father of the movement, he became the first bishop of the newly formed denomination that emerged from this local New York congregation. And also there's Christopher Rush. He's to the right of Abraham Thompson. He's on the right of the image. Christopher Rush, an early leader and dynamic preacher who later became the second bishop and was crucial in expanding the church's reach and organizational structure. And then the resource goes on to state the movement. These leaders were part of a broader effort to establish self-governing religious institutions for Black Americans. This movement prioritized education, social justice, and the abolition of slavery, turning the church into a hub for community organizing and civil rights. And then we go on for the decline and transitions. While the denomination itself continues to thrive globally today, the original physical locations and the local influence in New York faced specific periods of decline and change. 1840s through the 1860s, internal schisms. The movement faced significant internal tension during this period. Disagreements over church governance and the specific direction of the abolitionist movement led to various splits, which temporarily weakened the unified front of the New York congregation. Late 1800s, urban migration and displacement. As New York City expanded, the original neighborhoods where these churches were located underwent massive demographic and commercial shifts. The decline in this era was often a result of forced relocation churches, were frequently demolished or sold as the community was pushed further uptown. 1920s, the Harlem Shift. While not a decline of the faith of the gold, okay, wait, I gotta do that over, sorry. 1920s, the Harlem Shift. While not a decline of the faith, the golden age of the downtown and midtown black churches ended in the 1920s. Most congregations moved to Harlem to follow their members, leaving their historic original sites in lower Manhattan behind. Post through the 1960s, economic and social shifts. Like many urban institutions, the local again, post 1960s, economic and social shifts. Like many urban institutions, the local influence of some historic New York congregations faced a decline in the late 20th century due to urban renewal projects, changing neighborhood dynamics, and the suburbanization of the middle class. So it asked me would I like then to go into further detail of where the congregations originally sat. Let's see. One moment. And then it says, yes, let's look at the specific footprints of the first black congregation in New York before it moved to Harlem. These sites, these sites map the northward migration of black life in Manhattan. Original locations of the first black church, Mother Zion. While the congregation was founded in 1796, it occupied several downtown sites as it grew and the community was pushed northward. 1796 to 1800, the rented house. The congregation first met in a small rented house on Cross Street, now part of Park Row and Center Street, located between Mulberry and Orange Streets. 1800 through 1864, the first owned building. They raised enough funds to build a wooden structure at the corner of Church and Leonard Streets. In 1820, this was replaced with a more permanent brick building on the same site. 1864 through 1904, the Greenwich Village area. The Greenwich Village era, as the black community centered in Greenwich Village in an area then known as Little Africa. Oh, Lord. The church moved to a former Dutch Reform building at the corner of West 10th and Bleecker Street. Now, I kind of want to call cats to this because Greenwich was known as land of the blacks. And one thing I do understand or am starting to notice is Google follows trends, right? And so sometimes you will not get the correct answer because they're all writing and trying to latch us on to Africa. This is the first resource that I saw that said this area was called Little Africa when it's always been called Land of the Blacks, and it's in earlier resources. Good morning, Chuck D from the D. I'm examining the role of the church in early New York. To the left of the image are my topics. If I get a panel within like the next 5 to 10 minutes, or anybody who wants to come up, they can pick a topic. 1904 through 1914, the Upper West Side. They briefly occupied a site at 127 West 89th Street before the final push into Harlem. I want to know why did they mention Little Africa? This is what happens when you let, a lot of people into your country. They start touching shit. Like when you go take your kids to somebody else and you say, don't touch nothing. And they just gotta go and touch something. That's crazy to me. Now they talking about something went wrong. Yeah, okay, y'all gonna answer my question. Let's see. Sorry, I don't have my jazz playing today. They keep saying something went wrong when I asked that question. And look at this. Then I put in Soho Village, known as Land of the Blacks, and what life was like during and post-slavery in New York. And now look at this. In the midst, they didn't want to admit they made a problem. And I'm talking like this thing is real, right? But in the midst, based off of the question or the statement I just made there, in the mid-1600s, long before it was a hub for fashion, the area we now call Soho and parts of Greenwich Village were known as the Land of the Blacks. So why did they call it Little Africa up there? This was the first free black settlement in North America. Let's go into this and then I'll end. The Land of the Blacks, 1643 through 1664, under the Dutch West India Company. Thank you for the gifts. Under the Dutch West India Company, a group of enslaved men successfully petitioned for their freedom. They were granted land grants, roughly 130 acres, extending from what is now Canal Street up to 34th Street. Half freedom. This status was unique. The settlers were free to farm their own land and own property, but they had to pay an annual tribute of grain and livestock to the Dutch, and their children remained enslaved. Wow. The buffer zone. Historical analysis suggests the Dutch granted this specific land, which was swampy and difficult to farm, to act as a buffer between the European settlement at the tip of Manhattan and the Native American tribes to the north. Property owners. Key figures like Paulo de Angola and Domingo Anthony established farms here, creating a self-sustaining community that predated the English takeover. Life during slavery in New York. New York had one of the highest concentrations of enslaved people in the North, unlike the plantation system of the South. Slavery in New York was urban and domestic labor. Enslaved people worked as blacksmiths, carpenters, domestic servants, and dock workers. They lived in the same attics or cellars as their owners, meaning there was constant stifling surveillance. The 1712 and 1741 uprisings, the brutal conditions led to major revolts. In 1741, a great Negro plot was alleged, leading to the execution of dozens of black New Yorkers. This breeded a climate of extreme fear and restrictive slave codes that limited movement and gatherings, fair use, copyright usage in effect, right? So we did touch over this in previous lives. These weren't the only two revolts. These are the two main ones that they talk about. But the ancestors in New York had smaller forms of resistance, such as starting arsons and stuff like that. So they resisted in various ways. And then here we go. We always talk about this. In Ghana, actually decided they're coming to visit the African burial ground, and I think they're going to the UN after that to talk to them about reparations. If they don't take their hands off of our ancestors, but unfortunately, sometimes the ancestors are labeled as African. Nobody figures in their ethnogenesis or the fact that the captives mixed in with the indigenous and therefore became a new ethnic group. So they label a lot of stuff African. So right now, the resource says the African burial ground, forbidden from burying their dead within city limits, black New Yorkers established a cemetery outside the city palisades near today's City Hall. Over 15,000 people were buried there, a testament to the scale of the population. Life post-slavery, gradual emancipation, and we talked about that throughout the course of these lives during, the month of National Black History, aka National Black American History, aka National Foundation of Black History. So, life post-slavery, gradual emancipation. New York passed the Gradual Emancipation Act in 1799, but slavery didn't fully end in the state until July 4th, 1827. The Black Village. After full emancipation in 1827, the community centered around Minetta Lane and Thompson Street. Despite their freedom, Black Americans faced black codes and intense segregation. Economic exclusion. Oh, I got to do the puzzle. I had to do the puzzle. Sorry, y'all. Good morning, Takazo. Please complete your the daily heart meet so your badge could go from gray to that nice, cool, like brown and gold there. So where was I at? Right. So economic exclusion. While free, most were barred from trade unions. Many Black New Yorkers became leaders in the service industry, operating world-class catering businesses and oyster houses like Thomas Downing's famous cellar. Target of violence. The success of free Black communities often drew ire. During the 1863 draft riots, or white mobs, specifically the Irish, okay, targeted Black homes, businesses, and the colored orphan asylum, forcing many to flee the city or move further uptown for safety. They said, would I like an image? Yeah, create the image. But while we're here, I would like to talk about the 1863 draft right. We'll touch on this and then maybe I'll make another topic of the Dutch settlement before this month is over. But I do National Black History 365. Good morning, relearning to understand. Yes, you're here with your BX. TikTok's BX. Only for a few hours. But when I get off, I'm going to relax and work on some other projects. So the 1863 New York City draft riots remain one of the bloodiest and most destructive periods of civil unrest in American history. While sparked by the first federal conscription law during the Civil War, the violence quickly devolved into a systemic racial purge. The mechanics of the RIOT. When the draft began in July 1863, white working class New Yorkers, predominantly Irish immigrants, revolted. Fair use, copyright use in effect. Their anger was fueled by a commutation clause. Okay, let me read that again. The mechanics of the riot. When the draft began in July 1863, white working class New Yorkers, predominantly Irish immigrants, revolted. Their anger was fueled by a commutation clause that allowed wealthy men to pay $300 to avoid service, a sum far beyond the reach of the poor. However, this class-based frustration was immediately funneled towards Black Americans, whom the rioters blamed for the WAR and feared would compete for jobs when slavery was abolished. Targets of the violence. The mobs didn't just target government buildings, they targeted the infrastructure of Black life. The Colored Orphan Asylum. Located on 5th Avenue and 43rd Street, this was a home for over 200 children. A mob of several thousand looted the building before setting it on fire. Miraculously, the children escaped through a back door just at the front of the building was engulfed. Black homes and businesses. In neighborhoods like Greenwich Village and the Lower East Side, tenement buildings known to house Black families were set ablaze. Black-owned businesses, particularly pharmacies and grocery stores, were systemically destroyed. The waterfront. Black dock workers were specifically targeted and beaten as they were seen as direct competition for Irish laborers. Okay, it's only two more parts, y'all. The Great Migration Uptown. The riots fundamentally changed the geography of New York City. Before 1863, the black population was integrated throughout lower and midtown Manhattan. Immediate flight. Thousands of black New Yorkers fled to Brooklyn, specifically the independent community of Weeksville, New Jersey, or hid in the woods of what is now Central Park. The shift to Harlem, the trauma of the riots accelerated the abandonment of the land of the blacks in the village. They had little Africa in parentheses. I'm so sick of them, y'all. Um, the community began moving further north, eventually consolidating in Upper Manhattan and Harlem by the early 20th century, seeking the safety of numbers in a more secluded part of the island. Population decline. The black population of Manhattan dropped by over 20% between 1860 and 1865 as a direct result of the violence, the aftermath. The riots exposed the deep-seated Copperhead, which is anti-WAR Democrat sentiment in New York, and forced the city to reckon with its own internal racism. It took the arrival of federal troops fresh from the Battle of Gettysburg to finally suppress the insurrection. And I guess I could piggyback off of this tomorrow or my next live and just it says, would you like me to find the specific addresses of the black owned businesses that were destroyed during that week? Yeah, I'll save that for when I'm like fresh in my mind. So I want to say this about the draft riots. This gave you the PG version, if not the children's story version, right? Because during that they did harm black women and children, black women, children, and men, right? What they did with the men, and you heard them say the men at the docks were viewed as direct competitors. They used what was called a wheelbarrow technique. And what that did was they put our men on that wheelbarrow and pulled their bodies apart. That's not to be graphic. That's to show the brutality of what our ancestors had to face during certain periods. And we had to face that here in New York. So all divine honors to the ancestors. Yes, DeCuzzo says exactly. DeCuzzo, I've been up maybe for an hour. I had two people join the panel with me, but they have to go to work and, get their day going. I thank you for joining in. Are you going to do your daily heart meet? Did you do your daily heart meet? But I'm going to get ready to shut it down. And I really thank you for joining me. I see somebody else into the room. Who is that? Maybe they want to come up and pick a topic. Okay. They must have a private account. But, oh, hi, twin. How are you? Grand Rising, Rich Rising. So, I'm going to repeat the topic tomorrow. I just be getting in where I fit in, y'all. So, sometimes I'll go this time, but I'm going to always try to go before 9, just because the other platforms come up. And everybody who's up this earlier have, a panel to listen to if people join. Or thank you, blessings to you too. Or listen to me read and narrate about the history of New York. So the topics were just black. I'm getting tired of people saying just black. I do hold myself accountable because sometimes I say I'm just black, But we're more than just black. So also Trump's State of the Union, him and Ilhan Omar did have a back and forth type of yelling match. He said, end all sanctuary cities. They are dangerous and they harbor violent criminals. And that's me paraphrasing, of course. Post-racial nation. I remember a time here in New York, people were saying we're post-racial, this, that, and the third. So that had to be around the 2000s, up until, when did Obama come into office? 2006 or 2008? Until Obama came into office, I'm not saying he is of the lineage, but he was viewed as a, air quotes, African American. I'm with you on this drive. Do your thing, BX. Here, however long you broadcast. Thank you. And Twin says Obama, and DeCuzzo says 2008. Obama came into office. That's when they ripped off the Band-Aid to the post-racial narrative. the monkey images started flowing around and a lot of things. And I was running around. They got to put extra security on them. They're going to hurt them. And I witnessed him going internationally, and he tried to shake, the white tea people hand, and one really looked at him like he was crazy, wouldn't even take his hand. So today, or yesterday rather, we heard about a New York professor who had a hot mic and said some disparaging things about black students. And so every now and then, although we're in the thick of delineation and we're mainly going at the melanated folks, melanated immigrants, white tea people show us they still here with racism, but I ain't never thought racism ended. We're just been revealed new systemic people who are harming us systemically. And DeCusso says that's Southern strategy, yeah. So we're being harmed systemically by the melanated immigrants. Yep. And I hear the birds chirping. I'm gonna get me some rest. But I'll repeat this prompt. I really like it. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the end or the final day of Black History Month, but I always do National Black History 365 because our history doesn't fit in just a month. It sure didn't fit in just a week. So we do have National Black History 365, aka National Black American History 365, aka National FBA History 365, where I try to find not much known talked about history throughout various times, and I highlight them. I've done a lot, and if you check my page, I just shared Mound Bayou in Mississippi, founded by 3 formerly enslaved men. And we have a descendant of Mound Bayou who visits my platform. His name is Basic. So all divine honors to the ancestors and to him and his family. So with that said, peace, love, light, and reparations to my foundational Black Americans or anybody of the lineage who could identify as such, but just don't. So have a blessed day, fellas, and of course you'll see me later on the panel cutting up and stuff, but I'm supposed to be unplugging for the day, because the tethers really are starting to give me a headache. I don't know how much I can hear. You ain't doing nothing, nothing. Meanwhile, they're basically in what they call the hood with us. Not only their businesses or their doctors or lawyers, so they say, but the criminals are here, and we've been on a decline. So maybe we'll go over some crime stats too, since we're on a decline. All right, y'all. Peace.
Breaking the news with a twist so true, bringing you politics and history too. Dive into stories that shape our view. BX has got the facts for you. BX the storyteller, bringing the spark, no one does it better. BX, you've heard the rest, but she's the best, yeah, she's the best. Oh. From ancient tales to modern schemes, unraveling truths and chasing dreams.